part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane,
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
You're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the man of tomorrow who's still recovering from his cough, but it is getting better. And with me, as always, the greatest man that I know, the man who makes other men cower in their caves as if they are still primordial soup crawling around like fish, Mr. James Cole. What's up, Superman Red?
Hey, what's going on? Man, you push it sometimes with those introductions.
If I can get you to like crack up before I can even finish.
It makes me laugh, but most of the time it just makes me speechless. I don't know how to I don't know how to come in off of that. You know.
I think there'll be a day where you're like, beepity beep, Tyler.
like this mother.
What am I supposed to say? Welcome everybody. We're kind of taking it easy this episode. We thought we would get back into the swing of things and just kind of cover some Justice League action. You know, we're wrapping up the year. We just kind of want to do some fun things, and we have different episodes planned that are a little bit more laid back as we kind of readjust to our new format we had talked about by utilizing the app more for comics. So we just thought we'd get caught up on some Justice League action. Now, I do want to throw a note out here. James and I were talking, and when we started this, I was using the order that IMDb had listed for these episodes. And the biggest difference we found was that James owns them on Amazon Prime. I own them on iTunes. Okay. And the first 4 episodes are all collected in one episode for us, which is the Shazam Slam. And so we were like, okay, that's the one that's going to throw us all off, right? But no, as we discovered as we got into this block right here, we got a little confused because what was on IMDb that's in our notes was not what was playing in our viewing. So bear with us as we kind of fiddle through making sure that everything is linked up. So here we go. Excuse me. The first episode out of the gate today is Playdate. Saturday, December 17th, 2016. When the Justice League Watchtower is invaded by Toyman and his army of toys, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman are turned into players in a twisted version of a fighting game, and now Cyborg will need all of his gaming skills to get out. James, this episode is one of the most fun, and I remember when this episode came out, Solomon was a little over a year, and we watched this one a lot.
Yeah.
Like I would play it on my phone when we're sitting in the car and stuff.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's one of the top ones I remember from this series. It's one of my favorites for a lot of reasons. I think we can go into shortly. But it's even one of Jamie's. It's even one of Jamie's favorites. She likes it too.
When they make them enter like games, like a fighting game, and Batman's just like, "I am Batman," and just keeps doing it.
And Cyborg's just got this glee, like he keeps doing the emote over and over and over again, and Batman gives him a look like, "Quit it."
And then I am Wonder Woman, and she gives this whole speech, and she's like, "I like that."
Yeah. There's some really good moments in here. It just shows how good Cyborg is. For one, he's, in the end, he's like, I was playing 2 games, this one and one with him. How Cyborg ends up saving the day, but Batman pulls out the kryptonite ring to lay into Superman, and he's like, "You just carry that around," and and then when Wonder Woman is selected as a fighter, we get a quick choose your skin moment, choose your costume, and you get to see a bunch of ways Wonder Woman was drawn in the comics over the decades.
Yeah.
They're all costumes that she wore at some point or another. Every single one of them. so that one's really cool. And then during that battle, Batman calls the Batmobiles, and in the background, there is the Batmobile from Justice League Action. There is the uh, 1989 Batmobile. There is the animated series, the 90s animated series Batmobile, and there is the Batman Batmobile, which
The
actually in
animated
one.
The Batman.
Yes, the animated, not the Charger looking one from the 20 from the brand new movie.
Just saying.
Uh, yeah, right. There is actually a funny thing in there that I noticed is during the background of that fight after. Oh, and it was the 1966 Batmobile. That was the one I missed. Because he calls the 1966 Batmobile in to hit Wonder Woman. Um, and so that one pulls off the top and goes in. And as the rack moves up, that's when you see 89, the animated series, and the Batman um, car. But as the 66 comes in the background is the stock footage, the stock background with the 66 still at the top, the 89 below it, and then the animated series below that. But then the next scene where you see the background again, it is proper where the 89 is up top, the animated series is in the middle, and the Batman is on the bottom. So there's a small animated boo boo in the background.
Nice. I love catching that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So this one is just fun, like how, they talk about Cyborg's playing the game, and Robin plays it all the time, and um, Cyborg, like, they're getting it when it opens. There's like a cold opening where they're being attacked, and they're like, they are like trying to find out who is on watch, and you just see Cyborg up, like the alarms are going off, and he's just playing video games. He's like, I've only been playing for, dang, that long. Right.
Yeah, right. It's that is funny though, because sometimes you can just get sucked into a video game and play for hours, and
Yeah, that never happened. I'm not a gamer enough for that to happen to me.
uh,
But and it's still Carrie Payton as Cyborg, which I love.
hey, me
But
and my buddy, we were playing Final Fantasy VII back in the day, and we stayed up all night until sunrise to get that gold chocobo and go get that summon you could get with with only the gold chocobo. And after we went and got that thing, we went to bed.
last time I played games like that was Ken Griffey Baseball for N64. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
That was the first time I ever stayed up all night playing video games. My friend had just got that for his birthday. The next episode, Repulse. Superman has been infected by the Repulse, who was revealed as Lex Luthor and has now become the new Repulse. As Wonder Woman and Hawkman try to find a way to save him, Superman must remove those nanobots from his body by sending him into a black hole before he gets pulled in as well. That's a good summary of this one, but I would say while Superman and Wonder Woman are on a date, Superman orders garlic risotto,
Hmm.
and it is the worst decision of his entire life.
Yeah. Wonder Woman says, "Yeah, you shouldn't have ordered the garlic risotto."
So they go to kiss, and as they go to kiss, Superman's super hearing kicks in and he hears some danger and's like, we must go. So he takes off. And then of course, they fight Repulse, and this Lex Luthor is voiced by James Woods, and I will say I don't like James Woods voicing Lex Luthor. It just doesn't work for me. And at the end, just to skip ahead, when they do finally go back to kiss, one of them was like, no. And he's like, the risotto. She's like, yeah, I should have ate the garlic risotto.
Yeah.
So that's the lesson, James.
Don't eat garlic on a date.
When you go on a date, and it's maybe a first date, early in the relationship, whatever, you eat the most bland, tasteless, non-messy food possible.
Right.
Okay? Just a word of wisdom.
Yeah. Some things I think is funny about this episode. Obviously, the garlic risotto. That whole thing is pretty good. The fact that they're on a date, with each other, both talking about the person that they like, and he likes
Mm-hmm.
Lois and she likes Steve, and how Steve likes Wonder Woman, how Lois likes Superman, kind of like, you know, that secret identity thing still going on. But then they're there for a date with each other. Um, and then two things on James Woods. I think he's fine in a more high comedic role as Justice League Action is,
Mm-hmm.
very cartoony, very, just comic quips. Um, but also the second thing wasn't James Wood canceled by this time? So I was just surprised to hear him.
Well, I'm trying to remember when it happened. I mean, but you got to think like when we talked to Jason J.
That
Lewis,
crap doesn't stick in the frickin' in Hollywood.
but also you got to think about when they started. They did the voice work for this,
Right.
and I'm trying to work backward. Like this premiered at the end of 20. The first episodes premiered at the end of 20 December of
16.
2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that means they were recording, before that in probably 2015 and everything. Um, so I mean, yeah, he could have done all of his work, and then that thing happened. They were like, "Son of a gun."
Yeah. So, I mean, this one, really the biggest parts that stood out is like the date stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was my favorite part, like the black hole and like Hawkman, like seeing the two of them and like you're on a date was pretty funny. Um, and they're like, "It's not a date. It is a date." Uh, so I thought that was pretty awesome. That was my favorite stuff with this episode.
Yeah.
All right, the next hat trick, right? That's the next one. This is where it gets confusing, people. So bear with us.
Uh,
No, Speed Demon.
no. The next one on and here was Trick or Threat.
Okay, Trick or Threat. Yeah. So for James and I, like I said, that's when this shows up. But on IMDb, it doesn't show later. It shows up later, and it's really weird. So screw you, IMDb. December 24th is what it says, 2016 for the release date, but yet it's listed as the 18th episode. So take it with a grain of salt. Kane, the caretaker, tells the audience a Halloween story about the House of Mystery, where Batman, Zatanna, Constantine, and Dr. Fate are turned into 10-year-olds by Clarion the Witch Boy. Now the 10-year-old Justice League must find a way to defeat Clarion, turn themselves back to being normal, and escape the House of Mystery before it disappears. We covered this episode years ago, but for Halloween, because it was. But yeah, James, thoughts?
Um, I mean, I I like this episode as well. I kind of watched the episodes we're talking about in a couple of blocks. And this was the next best episode. Um, I do I like the Halloween bit of it.
Yep.
I love the Halloween bit of it. The trick or treating, the cast. Zatanna, Batman, Doctor Fate, and John Constantine, against Clarion the Witch Boy.
It's a Halloween staple in this house. It goes, like I said, we kind of do a Halloween DC day. We watch this, and then some Teen Titans Go stuff.
Right. Um, and the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about it, that I laugh about every time I see it, is it's young John Constantine. He's changed back in. Well, we find out that they're all changed back into 10-year-olds, but they're still kind of the heroes that they were. Um, and John Constantine, we all know he's a smoker. She's always got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. But in this episode, he's a child. We can't necessarily, and they're not even going to have him smoking as an adult. Um, but he
Isn't it
has
like
a
a
hard
toothpick or
rock
something?
no, it's a hard rock candy on a stick. So it's the candy stick sticking out of his mouth, and it's just a white stick sticking out of his mouth. But I'm like he's still got to have that. You know what I mean? Like, and
He's
it
got to have
totally
something.
works.
He's got to have something. You know, you got to have something. You can't just be nothing. So I love it. It cracks me up because it's just I love stuff like this, like we were talking about in our previous episode with Merry Little Batman, where it just becomes like, oh, it's the holiday season. I'm gonna go to a certain episode or something, and this is such high quality that it's a staple.
Yeah, just the whole thing. I mean, it's perfect Halloween, House of Mystery, Constantine, Clarion the Witch Boy, Doctor Fate, Zatanna, and even Batman. And then and it's really cool because you got Batman. You got this little 10-year-old kid saying and giving you this look like he's Batman, but it's just 10-year-old kid.
hmm It reminds me a little bit of the episode of Justice League. I think it was Justice League. What do you call it? Unlimited, where they're fighting Mordred and Morgan Le Fay, and she turns them into kids. I mean,
Yes,
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited just run together, especially when they do the couple episodes where it's back to just the original team,
right.
and they're all kids again. So
Yeah, love this episode.
so all right. Next
Then
one. What do we have on the next one on our docket, James?
it is episode 11, Speed Demon.
Speed Demon. Yeah, we're gonna drop the numbers for now, but we're gonna talk about
My bad.
speed. Just because like it's all
Just
jacked up.
titles in order. That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do.
I'll fix everything. We'll make it more easy because I'll bust it out from there. We'll have it. Speed Demon. After defeating Harley Quinn, Batman and Zatanna encounter Brother Knight. He used his dark magic to control the Batmobile, kidnapping Zatanna. With the help of Etrigan, the demon, Batman must save her, stop the Batmobile, and defeat Brother Knight. Um, this episode's okay. Like, I mean, it's all about kind of like a cool car, hot rod kind of thing. So it really wasn't my cup of tea. Speaking of tea, Jenny is supposed to bring me some. Um, but yeah, what did you think of this one, Mike?
Um, so I had to watch this one twice.
Was
Um,
it sucked that bad?
no. Because I watched the first three, and Alora was chilling watching them with me. It was in the evening, and so little backstory real quick, when I worked third shifts a number of years ago, when Jimmy and Bella were little, like one, two, two, three little, and I worked third shift, and my ex would go to work, I would be at home with the kids.
Mm.
Well, part of the thing that I got through was I laid the kids against me like I was the back of a couch or pillows or something that you would just lay back on. And I closed the bedroom door and the kids would watch some TV. So when they got up and stuff, I would be able to get a little bit of sleep, but as soon as they would get up and move, they would get off of me. I knew, and I would wake up.
Mm.
Um, so that has translated into a lifelong thing of, especially when my children are snuggled up to me, I get tired and I fall asleep. So by the time this fourth episode came around, my eyes just shut.
Nice.
So I saw the beginning and I saw the end of the episode. So then I had to watch it again. But
That makes sense.
yeah. Um the thing I liked most about this episode was Etrigan. Just I think there were some clever rhymes in this episode.
Mm.
Um I mean, other than that, it was, kind of just like a middle of the road episode. The villain wasn't entirely enticing or funny, or menacing,
I
you
never remember
know?
Brother Knight before.
Yeah, me neither. So I kind of just went along with it, you know? I mean, in the end, I think it would have been funnier if it came out of the hubcap as that metal ball
Mm,
and
hmm
and fell, instead of just out of the fender of the Batmobile, because then at least it would have looked like the 1989 dropping the grenades in Ace Chemicals.
Yeah.
Like, um, but Etrigan getting a ice cream truck turned into a speed wagon was kind of funny.
That is pretty dope, though.
But I think that's most of the highlights.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right. The next one is
Hat trick.
Felix Faust steals Zatanna's hat in order to free a massive demon and get his youth back. While Batman and Etrigan face off against the demon, Zatanna uses every trick in her arsenal to get her hat back from Felix Faust. It's a nice little one to pair up with Speed Demon,
Yeah, yeah, those two back to back.
though. It's like this. It's like a part two because it's the same grouping of characters.
Yeah, Batman, Zatanna, and Etrigan.
What's funny is I'll admit this. When I was watching this with the kids and stuff, me and Solomon were watching it, and what happened was they were playing, and I kind of like had to step out and grab something, and came back, and I didn't realize the episode switched at first.
I thought it was still the same one.
I was like, "Oh, cool." And I'm like, "Wait, back it up, so I'm gonna start over."
um, yeah, this one I think is a little better of an episode than Speed Demon was.
They're both rated a 7.4 on IMDb.
Um, I
Interesting.
mean, maybe you got a 7.3 and a 7.4, 7.3 and 7.5.
What's
You know
fun
what
is
I mean?
John Cryer was Felix Faust, and Lacey Chabert was Zatanna.
Mm. Um, well, heck, I mean, maybe that's why Faust had some pretty good timing delivery for his comedic lines.
Mm-hmm.
The giant creature was very generic, almost bug or crustacean like, with like a demigorgon mouth. But I did like the boy wonder joke that Etrigan gave him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the BPS was kind of funny. Comes in handy more than you'd think.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and then Zatanna, of course, like, you don't know the spell to put the monster back. Say it backwards, of course. Like, why not,
That
right?
that's always fun to read Zatanna stuff. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, what? You're just like,
See, the thing with Zatanna, like, sometimes it just sounds like gibberish. Other times it does sound like they're saying the thing backwards.
mm-hmm.
And like, I think that it's important to try and get that. You know what I mean? Practice something backwards over and over and over again, so you can deliver that line properly backwards.
I would just be like, all right, I'm gonna
Shibbity
record
flibbity
this. I'm gonna record this line, and then you're gonna flip my vocals. Ready?
That's probably what they do,
I mean, you'd have to
honestly.
do it one word at a time because then if you flipped it backwards, you would flip the whole thing. I think if I said
Uh,
James likes dogs, then it would flip it backwards and be like dogs, likes James or whatever, but backwards, whatever that would be. Dog likes
yeah.
James. um, so the backward speak is second only to the bizarro speak, and in things that bother Tyler. All right, James, what's the next episode you got?
Field trip.
All right. See, this is like I said. This is where everything gets crazy, people, because of the thing. But this episode is actually one of my favorites because as Superman gives Blue Beetle, Firestorm, and Stargirl a tour of the Fortress of Solitude, they run afoul with General Zod, Faora, and an unidentified Kryptonian villain who are accidentally freed from the Phantom Zone. Now, as Superman trapped inside, the three teen heroes must work together to stop the Kryptonian villains. The heat is on.
The heat is on. I love that. The heat is on, and then he gets blasted in the back.
This was one that I went back and watched because this is at a time where Sayla was, liking watching Stargirl, and I knew she was in this. So having Stargirl and then having Blue Beetle was just so much fun. And then having, Zod and Faora.
Yeah, I think everybody in this one's pretty good. Obviously we get our Superman bits.
Yeah, we
Uh,
we live for this.
for sure. Blue Beetle, Stargirl, and Firestorm. General Zod and Faora. Everybody's really good in this. I think the way that it is developed, we kind of get in media res. The Kryptonians are fighting. This is what happened. Or the Kryptonians are attacking, and then this is what happened. And then we're right back in it. Um, the chemical the chemical makeup of kryptonite. That little scene where Firestorm is freaking out is really comical.
Yeah.
Um, and like it's interesting how they're like, you think that little sliver of kryptonite would do anything? Like that puts Superman on his ass. That little sliver of kryptonite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then he makes the whole bunch of snow into kryptonite. Um,
Firestorm is a very formidable villain or hero that could be a horrible villain if they you had the right writers come in and really use him.
Absolutely. Excuse me.
You're fine.
Yeah, really, it's a really fun episode. And all the problem starts with an alien kitty, and then it's all said and done, and she's like, "Ooh, alien kitty." It's almost like Starfire from Teen Titans Go.
Mm-hmm. In addition to his credited voice role as Superman and Zod, Jason J. Lewis also performed the uncredited role of Quiol, or QXol, the hulking Kryptonian villain. This role had no dialogue, consisting entirely of grunts, groans, and howls.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't know Jason J. Lewis did all three voices.
So yeah, he did Zod.
Fantastic.
The man is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out again.
Yeah, it is neat to kind of go back and listen to it after learning that. You're like, hold on.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of these episodes being 10 and 11 minutes. Um, you can just throw them on and and just watch them real fast. I mean, hell, sometimes at work you could just pop it on, step off of the floor for 10 minutes, watch the thing, and go back. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do know what you mean.
Slacker.
Is there any more that you watched?
The last one I watched was Luthor in Paradise.
All right. Like I said, people, like we got thrown off here, so we're trying to make sure that we both are on the same page here. So, all right, Luthor in Paradise. Lex Luthor and Cersei invade Themyscira, home of the Amazons, to obtain a staff that leads to the fallen realm and an artifact of the Greek gods. With help from Superman and Batman, Wonder Woman must find a way to stop those villains before it's too late. Just a Luthor in Paradise.
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Cheeseburger.
um,
That was in my head. I'm not gonna lie.
So this one is really funny, being James Woods as Luthor. He gets the Oculus of Argo. He gets this long flowing hair and he loves it. He even does this two-handed hair flip. It was hilarious. It was hysterical. But him talking about wanting to go take over Olympus and everything, I'm like, man, he's just doing Hades again, and it's great.
Hey, how you doing?
Right.
Hercules. I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's basically Disney Superman, but whatever. Yeah, this one was fun, and I guess in retrospect, like this, I guess it works better for him as Luthor here compared to anywhere else. But yeah, his Luthor was just kind of difficult to deal with for me a little bit because
Right. Well, I mean, in animation, we got freaking Clancy Brown, got Tony
Lapazia,
LaPazia,
yeah.
whatever Italian last name that is. Sorry for anybody listening.
They're like, I'm gonna beat that guy up. I'll tell you his address. Just text me.
My address is
I'll give him the address that's saved in my phone, James.
right there. You go. You changed that.
Dang it, I did. Never mind.
Right.
Inside joke, people.
Yeah. No, it was a funny episode. This was a good one. Like I said, Luthor was hysterical in this one. Okay, he totally nailed it for me. Especially once he got the Oculus. But Superman and Batman show up, and it's like these Amazons can be prickly, and they all just point spears and arrows at them. And just she's like, "You men on our island," and she's like, "These are your friends," and more like sidekicks, and then they help save the day, and they have names, mother, and and she gives them the names, and then she's like, "Thank you, Batman. Thank you, Superman," or whatever, like paraphrasing, and then she's like, "Get off my island before my guards run you through." It was funny.
James is like, I just want to be on that island.
That is paradise.
I'll just live over here to the side. You won't even notice I'm here.
Especially the island with from the 2017 Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, the island that looked real compared to I will say the island in Zack Snyder's Justice League felt really weird. But whatever, that's another conversation.
It looked scaled up, and it looked scaled up to this epic degree. You know what I'm saying?
It was the other side of the island.
Yeah.
Also known as not a real location shooting.
Yeah. The stuff they did in Wonder Woman was like them living on the island, Like there's a real world here. They train and they live, they eat, they work, And in that one it's, like you said, the other side of the island. The side of the island that people don't go to because that's where the box is, where it's being guarded. Yeah, where it's being guarded. You never go there,
Simba. That's the shadowy place.
Right.
All right. Well, this is such a fun series, and I hate that it's a lost series and that not enough people are really talking about it, and it's just kind of gotten lost. Like I'm sitting here, and on my desk right here is I have the 12-inch Justice League Action Wonder Woman figure, and then on my shelf above me I have the Lex Luthor, and then on my Superman shelf is the Superman Justice League Action figure, the 12 inches. And I know that they made like smaller scales, and I never got any of those. And then I know that Solomon got Plastic Man, and we have Flash, and we have Batman. I think is all we have from the Justice League Action. Because there's some of them that were supposed to come out that I never saw in store, and then they were gone fast. Like I found the Luthor marked clearanced out, and then I found Wonder Woman at Ollie's. So I mean, they went like it's kind of like the the superhero girls stuff. Like here they are, guys, and then they're like, and clearance.
Right.
And I was like, right when Sailor got hooked, I went back to get her a Kara doll, and they were gone.
Yeah. Well, not enough people are talking about it. We just talked about 7 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 of them, maybe, we did, weren't the greatest. But 5 of them we love, you know.
Yeah.
At least 5 of them I really, really liked. 4 I loved, So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's definitely a good show, and it's great to watch, and the run times help, um, especially if you just want to throw something on, watch something real quick. Maybe you and the kids just knock something out 10-20 minutes.
You're absolutely right. I just want to throw this out here real quick. This is really weird because I wanted to check something and I wanted to like cross reference something. I was trying to pull the information. Um, so the DC superhero girls, the second, like the actual series, not the just movie films,
Right.
are no longer available from my digital retailer of iTunes. Like I own the second season, and the first season used to be on Netflix, and I was kind of just looking at something to cross reference here, and I was like, it said, purchase more, and I was like, okay, I'll pull up the first season real quick to check something out, and it says no longer available from your digital sailor. That's so interesting to me.
Hmm.
How like we're
Is
talking
it
about.
still on Netflix? I haven't
I'm
checked.
looking at right now to see if the first season is still there. No, it's not.
Oh, that's awful.
And this is why. I mean, this is why we buy physical. Okay,
Yeah,
you
because these
know,
things just move. They're gone.
and they take stuff and then like you said, they disappear, and then you're like, oh, why can't I find this? Um, and that's so crazy because it's not available anywhere, and it's not like I don't know if it's available to buy on Amazon Prime or not.
Yeah, I'm actually looking.
Because I was thinking, oh, I should probably buy the first season at some point. Now I'm concerned.
Hmm.
It does say Justice League Action is on one season is on Amazon Prime to stream.
It is saying, well, just searching for it on Roku. The only place available to watch it for free is Happy Kids TV.
For what?
It's an app called Happy
No,
Kids.
I
Oh,
mean like
DC Superhero Girls.
Happy Kids. Hmm.
I think it's
Interesting.
something we have on here for the kids.
There's all kinds of weird apps like that on Amazon. Quick,
But
James.
with that being the case, then it's probably not available to buy anywhere like Amazon Prime, because normally that would come up.
Yeah. So it looks like Justice League Action, just for our listeners, we kind of is on Amazon Prime. It looks like so you can go, and it seems like DC's been selling a lot of stuff to Amazon Prime to watch. So yeah, check that out so you can follow along with us. And it looks like season 1.
See, wasn't that a Cartoon Network show? Like,
Yeah.
why is it not on Max?
Uh-huh.
Why is it not under the DC brand label on Max?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, James, going on right now that doesn't make sense. But yeah, so I'm really bummed right now that when I go to Girl Season 1 on Prime, says this video is currently unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bummer. It is a bummer. Because I was going to buy a season 2. Now I'm actually pissed. Because I wanted to rewatch some of that with Sayla. But anyways, that is our show. Thank you for tuning in. And remember,
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, The Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And when we're not featuring a movie report card, we'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Here at Krypton Report, we believe in the power of podcasting, the power of speaking your voice and speaking something that comes from you. So here's a couple of podcasts you can check out with people sharing their voice.
I am Brian Peters, the creator and host of Gravely Amusing. For the past 30 years, I've studied the history of gods and monsters in pop culture and our world. As a student of theology and history, I've tried to understand evil and its impact on us. As a writer, I've tried to share this knowledge. As a comedian, I've tried to make people laugh as I do it. But as a man-child, I'm still that scared 7-year-old boy. Join me as I share the history of horror and sci-fi, discuss classic and modern pop culture, and share a creepy story or two. This podcast may scare you, it may horrify you, or it may leave you gravely amused. Listen to Gravely Amusing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are found. Follow us on Twitter at gravely_amusing or on TikTok at Gravely Amusing.
Hi, I'm Taria Maynard, and this is my co-host, Jania Patrick. We're a couple of sisters in Central Ohio who created a podcast. Our podcast is called The Confessing Heretics.
The basic premise of the podcast right now, as we see it, is we're going to talk to you guys about our stories in religion, would you say?
This podcast is about sharing our truths, our religious traumas, and our histories. We'd love for you to join us on our journeys as we talk about our pasts and discover more about ourselves along the way. We will be featured on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look for The Confessing Heretics.
We have a $1 Patreon. Yes, I know everyone asks for money, but our $1 Patreon each month gets you commentary tracks for releasing movies, DC movies, It gets you my Requel series where I pitch ideas about movie sequels, prequels, or whatever. It also gets special bonus episodes of whatever else some of the friends of the network chime in and drop. So check that out for $1 a month. That's all we ask. Keep it cheap, keep it simple, and help us keep going. Check out the link in the show notes or Patreon, Krypton Report.
Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.